So today I'm going to go way into depth on calorie counting as it pertains to each goal.
So be the change. And if you don't want to be the change, you're not ready to be the change, then stop complaining.
Hi, me again, Allie Banks, the personal trainer, the nutrition coach, partied in New Orleans. Studied at Tulane in New Orleans. Oh, I forgot to mention last week, I majored in health, wellness, and fitness in college. It's just so forgettable because college is a scam. So last week we touched a little on calorie counting. Basically, eat less in your TDEE to lose weight, eat more to gain weight. TDEE, recall the big ass number at the top left of the TDEE calculator. So today I'm going to go way into depth on calorie counting as it pertains to each goal. Let's kick off with counting to lose weight, also known as a caloric deficit. The cool guy or gal term is cutting or going on a cut. Women should be eating 300 calories less than their TDEE. Men should be eating 500 less. The reason I say 300 or 500 is because that's a very safe amount based on gender. Because if you're eating at too much of a deficit, you'll actually end up holding on to the weight because your body is scared that you're starving. So it'll latch on to those fat stores and cling to them for dear life. Why, you ask? Because we are cavemen, people. We are the same humans that existed thousands of years ago. The ones that were running away from fucking lions and tigers and bears, oh my. The ones that, weren't eating every day. They would starve for days at a time, for weeks at a time, for months at a time. Those ones, our ancestors. So our biology is exactly the same. Our bodies do what they have always done. Let me also note, though, as a female, it is possible for you to eat at a higher deficit. I would say the cutoff is about 500 calories. Men can probably get away with a 700 calorie deficit, but I strongly encourage you to just stick with 300 and 500 for female and male respectively, and just be fucking patient. You will see progress, I promise. But just staying in that safe zone is important because everybody's body is different and it will react differently to the deficit. So yeah, 300 and 500. I strongly suggest you just keep it simple and stick with those numbers. Also important to note with deficits, you can't stay on it for too long because once again, the human body is a tricky bitch. And by tricky bitch, I mean extremely intelligent. So if you stay on a deficit over an extended period of time, your body will just adapt to getting that many calories a day and you'll stop seeing progress, otherwise known as a plateau. That's another cool guy or gal term, plateau. So I recommend only cutting for 8 weeks, 12 at the very most. Maintenance is another option. So this is just staying exactly where you are. You don't want to gain, you don't want to lose. This is generally what you do when you're getting off of a cut or a bulk cycle. Bulk is a surplus. We'll get into that after we talk about maintenance. You cannot go. So deficit to maintenance. You can't do that overnight. You can't go from eating 1,500 calories one day to eating 2,500 calories the next. It's not healthy. It's not productive. It will fuck up your body and your progress. This is because your body will just take those excess calories and store it as fat. So once again, with the caveman thing, imagine, Mr. Caveman Joe, and he's just frolicking through the woods, and, he hasn't eaten in 4 days. And he comes across a deer, and he kills the deer, and he eats the deer. His body is going to take all of that deer that he just ate, and it's going to be like, oh my gosh, fuck yeah, we got so lucky, we just got a bunch of food, this is awesome. We have no idea the next time we're going to get to eat, so we're going to take that deer, and we're just going to shove it into our fat stores, because the fat stores, when somebody is starving, their body can just take a little bit out of that fat store to just fuel it and just keep the body alive. And that's what you use your fat stores for. So if you've been on a deficit, you're in the most technical sense, you're starving your body of the calories that it needs, right? So if you give it too many calories too quickly, it'll just do what it's always done. It'll just shove it right into the fat stores. So the surefire way to go from cutting to maintaining is as follows. Add 50 calories a day until you get back up to your TDEE number. Or you can add 100 calories a week. You can break it up however you want. Big picture here is just slowly increasing your calorie intake over a period of time. Once you are at maintenance, you can stay there for as long as you want. So with maintenance, there is absolutely nothing harmful or wrong about staying at that number. That's totally fine. So you can stay at maintenance for however long that you want. And on the other side of the scale, we have counting calories to gain weight. So the caloric surplus, otherwise known as the bulk. Bulks are for building muscle. This does not mean stuff your face with junk food, although there is a name for that. It's called the dirty bulk. But dirty bulks are just for putting on as much mass as possible in as little as time as possible. So it's what a linebacker might do. Hashtag Go Saints. A clean bulk is what you want to do when you're trying to gain muscle without gaining fat. Disclaimer, though, a little bit of fat gain is almost inevitable with a bulk. But that's fine because on your next cut cycle, you'll just shred that right off. Also, the fat gain is almost negligible because on the bulk, you're also gaining muscle. So, while you're gaining muscle and you're gaining a little bit of fat at the same time, that fat, it's so minuscule, it doesn't even matter. But again, you'll shred it right off on the next cut, so it's fine. And then so with the bulk, caloric surplus, again, you're going to want to stay in the safe zone, 300 for females, 500 for males. And again, don't stay on the bulk for too long because, again, plateau. And again, slowly decrease your caloric intake until you get back down to your maintenance. And the cycle continues. We're also going to go into detail, like one episode per each of these things. So one episode for exactly cutting and one episode for exactly bulking, because while these numbers are true and you can do this, normally what you would do for a bulk is take a percentage of your calories. But like that, oh my God, that's so much to talk about. We're not doing it today. So we'll get into that later. But I promise 300 for females and 500 for males for a bulk. It's fine. It works. Do that. If you're too impatient to wait for the episode to come out about those things, it'll work. But if you want to do it like super hardcore, there will be an episode about cutting and an episode about bulking. So not to worry. The reason all of these things are called cycles is because they are literally exactly that. You go through cycles. You can cut once and maybe see some abs start poking out, but as soon as you fall off your cut, the progress is going to disappear. And what I mean by falling off of a cut is just that if you get off of a cut and you don't smartly go to maintenance, or you get off of a cut and you start eating whatever you want, you're ruining your progress. And all of that is to say, don't think of cuts and bulks as short-term diets. They're not short-term diets. They are cycles in a very big long-term plan. Long-term changes happen over time, over many, many cycles. I want this podcast to have legitimate value, so here is your tangible thing to do with this information. This is the schedule that I use for my cycles throughout the year. So I do 8 weeks in deficits and surpluses, maintenance, falls, wherever I need it to in between these cycles. So in the middle of May, I start cutting. That way, by the middle of July, I have full-on bikini body abs going on, nice and shredded for summer. Middle of July to the end of November, I stay on maintenance. So the week before Thanksgiving, I start bulking. Why? I'll tell you. No one is looking at my body in the winter. I'm wearing a ton of layers because I live in fucking Washington. It's the perfect time to bulk. And also, with the holidays, I don't have to feel bad about enjoying the holidays. So Thanksgiving through the end of February, I'm bulking. March, April, and the first half of May, maintenance, and the cycle continues. So it's almost seasonal, right? So summer, cut. Maintain, maintain, maintain. Winter, bulk. Maintain, maintain, maintain. Summer, cut. In simple terms. Okay, so now we know exactly what the cycles are and what the results of each type of calorie counting thing are. But now, how exactly do you count calories? MyFitnessPal. We talked about it last week. It's an awesome free app where you can plug in which foods you're eating, and the app will tell you how many calories, the macro split, the whole fucking nine. You can enter in portion sizes. You can choose how you want to split your macros. That's next week's topic, macros. It's a doozy. Maybe next week's topic is macros. Next week's topic might also be COVID. I haven't decided yet, but if it's not macros next week, it'll be macros the week after. You can enter in your calorie goal for the day as well on MyFitnessPal. It's fucking magical. And like I said, if you track religiously for like your first cycle, pretty soon you'll be able to just eyeball any food and determine how many calories are in that portion. Okay, one more pro tip, and then I'm going to bounce. You can count in one of two ways. Okay, so you can input your shit throughout the day just as you go. Like, oh, I just ate eggs and toast for breakfast. Beep, boop, bap. I just put that in MyFitnessPal. Okay, how many calories is that? Okay, cool. Great. You can do it like that. Or you can plug all of your shit in ahead of time and just refer to your little food journal, for the day as you go. That way you're confident that what you're eating is aligned with the goals you're trying to achieve. I prefer to do it ahead of time. I plug in all my food into MyFitnessPal on Sunday night, and then I just eat whatever I put into the journal. And especially when we get into macros, this will make your life a hell of a lot easier. And this is really only the tip of the iceberg as far as nutrition concepts go. But I know you all have ADD and don't want to sit through a 2-hour-long lecture on how to food. Plus, I got to keep you interested so you come back and listen, right? So I'm just going to cut it off right there. Thank you so very much for listening, and tune in next week for more super awesome magic tips.